Good morning. I'm Desert, if this is your first time here. And today we're going to be talking about creating your property as a symbiotic system where the different parts all meld together and help each other. Alrighty. As most of you know, I am a prepper of sorts. I am creating a homestead here in Mexico. I just got this house in April of 2024 as a rental. And after renting it for a year, I decided I wanted to buy it. So April of 2025, I began purchasing the property as well. Now, the house is very run down, but it's on about a half an acre that was completely blank. There was, there were a bunch of weeds and native trees and stuff that were all babies. The house had not been inhabited in over 7 years. So there was a lot of overgrown just stuff, but nothing that had been planted. And the entire property is enclosed by a 9-foot tall cement fence all the way around. And except for the gates. The gates were never made, so I still have those to do. The house is not in good condition. It is a very good skeleton. It's good to work with. It's a 3-bedroom house with 3 baths. And one of the baths was in very good condition and is all completely tiled and has, good toilets and sinks and like that. But the other 2 bathrooms definitely need work. So my son and I are sharing a bathroom at this time. He's in one of the bedrooms. I'm in the master. And there is a giant what they call a bodega. It's supposed to be a shop originally. That's what it was built for by the original owners. But we are going to turn it into an apartment for my son. And the room that he is living in now will end up being my living room. So right now, I don't have a living room, but we're working on it. Alrighty. So I'm trying to make myself as self-sufficient here as possible. And part of that includes, in our future, milk goats and laying hens. And I plan on having one rooster. I hope it's not an aggressive one, so that the hens can reproduce themselves with time. And I am trying to establish systems here that will be self-sustaining. I am 73 years old and I'm handicapped. It is very difficult for me to walk. So most of my videos, you'll see I'm sitting down, because that's what I do. I can't have the chickens and goats now because I am buying a car. And I have 1 more year until May of 2027 to finish making all of my payments. Here, car loans are for 5 years. Anyway, so when I finish paying for my car, then I will have more available cash and I will be able to hire a yard guy to be here every day to deal with the chickens and to milk the goats and to clean their pens, etc. But right now I don't have enough available cash for that. So I'm in the planning stages of getting ready for that. And I believe that there is a possibility of severe changes in our lifestyles. And so some of the things that I am going to grow are indigenous to this area, so that I don't have to give them a bunch of extra attention. I don't, we don't have to water them. We don't, whatever. And two of those things, I'm going to plant moringa trees all along one side of the goat pen. And I'm going to plant loquat, which is a kind of it's a citrusy flavored plum-like fruit from China. Really, it's not related to the kumquat, but the name comes from the same area, so hence the similar names. At any rate, so all of the loquats, which I have 12 seeds planted in pots right now, are going to line one, either the goats or the chicken pen, and the moringa lining the other goat or chicken pen, whichever it ends up being. And now we're starting the trees now so that they will be mature by the time we build the goat pen and the chicken run and their night enclosure, so that it will be a windbreak and shade for them, because it is intensely hot as well as extremely humid here. So we need to be able to protect them from the elements. Plus, I am not at all convinced that Social Security is going to still exist for all of my lifetime, and that is over 2/3 of my income. I have a small widow's pension as well, but Social Security is definitely the lion's share of my monthly income. So I am trying to establish everything as I go to be not only as self-sufficient as possible due to my incapacity for caring for them, but also to make them good for supplemental feed for both the goats and the chickens. And moringa and loquats are excellent, both the fruit and the leaves, for both the laying hens and for the milk goats. So I'm trying to plant things that not only grow in this area anyway, but also will be beneficial to me food-wise and beneficial to my animals as feed, so that I don't have to provide as much food for them. Now, moringa is currently considered a superfood. It is just so high in antioxidants and many vitamins, and I'll have probably a whole segment just on that, because I think it's that important. But it also grows very rapidly. So part of my plans for this property is to build an outdoor kitchen so that I can cook with wood fires as well. And moringa grows very rapidly, and it reproduces from seed quite easily and produces lots and lots of seed pods. So once I have my row of moringas, I will have a lot of seed to be able to start other moringas if I want to. In where I live, there's only one neighbor on one side. I own 2 lots back to back, so I go from one street all the way to the other street, and to the other side of me is completely vacant, and there are many vacant lots around here. So in the event that there were severe problems of whatever nature, I could grow moringa trees for wood in other areas as well, not only on my property. So that's why we're doing that. Okay, different day, different shirt. Continuing with the plants that will help feed my animals. There are 8 different plants that are recommended that I can grow in this area that are very good for chicken feed, and some of them are good for goat feed as well. Number 1 is comfrey. Now, comfrey starts the best from little pieces of root that you grow underneath, but from what my research showed, you need approximately 10 comfrey plants to have enough for 12 hens. Number 2 is sunflowers, and they recommend succession planting, of course, so that where I live, you can plant sunflowers almost year round. So Sorry, interruptions. Anyway, succession plant the sunflowers, and it's recommended to take the heads and hang them upside down in a dark place, and you can just give the heads to the chickens, one at a time, and that keeps them occupied as well. You do want to quench boredom so they don't peck on each other as much, and that helps a lot. The moringa I already mentioned. Amaranth, particularly the burgundy amaranth, is 14 to 16% protein, which is very high protein for a grain. And it's a grain that you can grind for food for your human occupants as well. Calendula, it's very, very good for immune support. Stinging nettle, this 25 to 30% protein in the dried leaves. So that's a very high protein count. That's awesome. Chicory is number 7, and it's very minerally dense.
Number 1, the larch. The larch. The larch.
And number 8 is a mulberry tree. Now I want to have a mulberry tree, and I also want to have an elderberry tree. Both of them have medicinal properties. They both produce lots of fruit for both us and for the animals. A mature single mulberry tree gives you up to 500 pounds of fruit per season. Now, obviously, that's going to be a significant impact on the feed for the animals and for us, making jams and pies and jellies and stuff like that. So, and in the mulberry tree, the leaves are edible as well. Alrighty. Now, I have always felt that it was most important to plant your perennials first. I always got my fruit trees in the ground before I started worrying about garden space very much. These are my top 10 trees for productivity in the average garden. Now, some of these I cannot grow where I am, but the ones that I can grow, I'm definitely going to. The first one we just talked about.
The larch.
For the chickens, and that's a mulberry. Like I said, they produce a whole lot of fruit, and they are very, very versatile for used in smoothies and in fruit salads and in jams and in jellies and syrups and just making all kinds of things out of them. That would be awesome. Another one that I can grow here is a fig. Now, I don't have a lot of experience with figs, but I know I love fig Newtons. Is that silly or what? Is a love for fig Newtons enough of a reason to grow figs? I have never eaten a fresh fig. I have eaten dried figs, but I've told they're a completely different animal. And but they grow here and pretty effortlessly. You have to pay attention to them the first 2 years until they get established and they've got a good root system going for them. And then after that, you don't have to water them anymore at all. I think that knowing that I like the flavor, like in the fig Newtons, I'm certain that I can use it in other baked goods. Having had a bakery for 13 years, I know how to experiment with baked goods pretty well. And I know that I like the flavor cooked, at least. So I think I'll do one of those. Another tree that is really good and very low effort and high productivity is a persimmon. Now, they're not very popular in the United States, mainly because they're difficult to ship. Therefore, they're difficult to purchase commercially, so a lot of people are not familiar with them. But in the colonial days and in Europe, they are definitely a sought-after fruit. I've never eaten one, so I don't know, and I can't grow them here. But from all of my research, I have found that that's a good thing to recommend for other people that live in the areas where they can. Now, we come to another tree that is native to North America, and it produces a very large fruit, and that's the pawpaw. Now, they say that where I live, it's possible to grow it, but it's kind of difficult because it doesn't really like the very wet, humid summers that we have. So I'm not sure if I'm going to try that or not. But the fruit sounds very interesting. It's a very large fruit, and being indigenous to the North American continent, it's something that wouldn't take much effort if it will do okay here. They said that it may not set fruit because of the high humidity and the rains of our summers. So I don't have enough room to plant trees that I'm not certain are going to produce for me. Now, among the nuts,
I'll take a pound of nuts. That's a lot of nuts!
They recommend a chestnut. And a chestnut will grow here, and I'm seriously considering that one. Now, there are always apples. Now, when I lived in Lancaster, California, I had 3 apples. I had a Granny Smith, a Golden Delicious, and a Red Delicious. And they were very productive and very fertile. Gave us a lot of fruit. It was really nice. We had dried apple rings. We had applesauce. We had apple butter. Fresh eating, salads. I loved them, but it doesn't get cold enough here. So an apple would not work here. Now, another tree, which I am going to experiment with, I'm going to have to get a press to be able to really utilize it, but I'd like to try an olive. And making black olives or canning, green olives or black olives, and of course pressing them for olive oil is all definitely a possibility. I'm going to be getting a fruit press at some point anyway to use with my grapes that I'm going to plant. We'll get into that another day. I had 13 grapevines on in my California house. One morning I had a grape arbor. I lived in Lancaster in the desert where it was very hot and very dry. So one morning I put in the posts for this arbor before church one Sunday morning, out there digging post holes in my dress. But I got them done, and I built the arbor, and we grew many different kinds of vines up it. And then in another location, I had a wall of wooden lattice where I had 3 more vines. So I had 10 vines on the arbor, 5 on each side, and I had 3 more vines on the trellis wall. And we had super high sugar grapes so that I could can all of my fruits in grape juice, and I didn't have to add sugar to them when I was canning whole fruits. And we had Thompson seedless and Red Flame seedless, and on and on and on. And the wall had my wine grapes. I had a Cabernet Sauvignon, and I had a Muscadine, a Cowart. My last name is Cowart, and there's a Muscat grape called Cowart. So we had to have that. Any rate. Okay. Now, another one that I can do here, but it's also slightly iffy because of the high humidity and the wetness in the summer, is a jujube or a jujube, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Most of my studying is reading, so I don't always hear these words said, excuse me. But they are very prolific, and once established, they take very little work. And another is an elderberry. Now, I have COPD, which is a lung disease that causes a lot of congestion. That's why I cough all the time in my videos. I'm sorry, I can't avoid that. That's just part of my life. But elderberry syrup is awesome for coughs and for eliminating phlegm and lung and even nasal congestion. Now, I am also focusing on plants that I can make homemade medicines out of. I have to drive every 3 months to Nogales to get my medications because I don't have any insurance here. And it is an 11 to 12 hour drive for me. And I'm 73 years old, and it's very hard for me to walk. And around the house, when I have to walk a lot, I use a little walking cart, you know. But getting it in and out of the car every time that I have to stop to go potty is just terrible. And it kills my back doing that. So I end up doing all the walking during my trips with a cane, and that's very exhausting for me. And I really don't know how long I'm going to be able to do that. So I need to start planning in advance and being able to supply some things for myself, for my health. When we get into the herbs and stuff like that, I have a lot of medicinal herbs that I'm going to be recommending, because if there is any type of serious disruption, whether it's supply chains, or whether it's a war, or whether it's social disturbance, or whether it's some kind of a illness catastrophe like COVID was, or whatever, you may end up having to take care of yourself for a while. So I am planting things that are known for lowering blood pressure, that are known for lowering blood sugar, that are known for alleviating pain, that are known for alleviating, my distress symptoms, which the lungs are a big one. So elderberry, as well as being a wonderful fruit, is a very good medicine. And then the last one that I'm going to do are pear trees. And you need to have 2 of them so they can cross-pollinate each other. And in my area, Hood and Baldwin are the best varieties. They have the lowest number of chill hours needed for a tree. And they say that in my area that those will work. Alrighty, I'm going to interject here with some screenshots of a news article that I got on my phone this morning. I keep talking about the possibilities of various forms of disruptions. Well, this is from the BBC, and it's saying to prepare for El Nino. I did mention that in one of my previous videos, that they were expecting this year's El Nino to be one of the worst, a super El Nino, so to speak. And now they're saying that, scientists fear the combined effects of El Nino and human-caused climate change could reshape weather around the world. And here is what it is doing and why. All right. In this screenshot, it's showing last December that the waters in the region that they monitor the most, in the Pacific, were cooler than average, shown here in blue, with no El Nino to be seen. All right. And then 3 months later, the picture had changed. The Central Pacific was warmer, shown here in orange, with very warm waters emerging off the coast of South America. Then, by April, a looming El Nino was unmistakable. Temperatures in the main monitoring region were rising, and these waters have only continued to warm since. Now, an El Nino causes much drier weather in Central and South America, and it causes much more volatile and wetter weather in North America, which includes the United States, a little bit of the lower part of Canada, but it includes most of Mexico as well. And this right here, this graphic, are the monthly global air temperatures compared with those of the late 19th century. It's showing from 1980 up to 2020. And you can see it's steadily rising. Now, temperatures usually spike during El Nino years, perhaps by 0.2 degrees centigrade for a strong event. But if you look at the record global temperatures during El Nino years, you can see how high they are. And the last graphic that I have, there have only been a handful of these cases since 1950. Forecasts suggest this new El Nino could equal past peaks or even surpass them. And you see on the top right-hand side where it says possible range for November 2026, it's much higher than it normally is. Even on the lowest part of the scale, it's very high. Now, I had talked to you before about the problems that we're going to be encountering because of the higher gas prices, because of higher fertilizer prices. This El Nino event, Super El Nino, is going to wreak havoc on the United States and on the farms that are there, and are going to mess with the crops. I told you about the wheat in the last video on this, and that was just an example. So with these harvests being put in danger because of all of this volatile weather and floods and, all of this stuff, I think that it's just going to get worse a whole lot faster than we think it's going to. I am going to continue planting my perennials as much as I can. We have 5 banana trees coming. My son just this past week put in a lime tree and a Valencia orange, which we had in pots in the front yard. I'm sure you've seen them before. Well, we finally, I was just kind of broke and I couldn't afford all the soil. I bought the stainless steel bags to put them in to protect them from the gophers, but after putting in the potato bed that we did over on this side, I spent so much money on soil to fill that with, and compost and all of that, that I had to wait for a little while to go and purchase more bags of soil. So I went one week and I purchased enough for one tree, and then I went the next week and purchased enough for another tree. And my pension comes in tomorrow, so we'll be purchasing enough to put the mandarin orange in as well, and we'll at least have our 3 citrus trees in the ground. And the lady that works with me at my house, she has banana trees on her property, and she is going to bring me 5 babies. And she has gophers in her property, and she says that she's always had bananas and she's always had gophers, and the gophers don't eat the bananas. So we're just going to try putting them straight in the ground. And after that, we're going to be putting the bougainvilleas on one side of the property because they're all thorny and big, and, we want kind of protection from people coming over the wall. So my focus is to put the trees in and to get things that are producing fruit trees, fruit bushes, blackberries, blueberries, raspberries. All of these things take a while before they start being fruitful and productive. So I am most interested in getting those in the ground first. Now, in the meantime, I'm doing lettuces and some herbs and things like that in the little raised beds that I have in the front yard. But my main focus monetarily is to get those perennials in so that they are producing by the time that things get really gnarly. Okay. Now I'm going to go over 9 perennial herbs. Herbs that I either already have planted or I have the seeds for, but I haven't made the space yet, whatever. But since I do focus on perennials first, and I want herbs that will double as medicines also. Now, I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I am not saying go off your meds and take these herbs instead. Okay? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying in an emergency situation, if you have any of these problems and you already have these herbs growing, this is something that you can use to help alleviate the problem. All right? This is not to substitute for real medical care. Go there first, right? But the first that I'm going to include, is mint. I've tried to say are or is because there are so many different mints, and we'll get into that in a second. Mints relax the muscles of the gastrointestinal tract, and so it will help your digestion. It's also very good for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, okay? It is a natural decongestant due to the menthol in it, but do grow it in a container because it is invasive, okay? Almost every member of the mint family will just take over if you give it a chance, okay? Drops of essential oil on your temples is good to relieve headache or a mild migraine. Obviously, it's not going to take care of a full-blown one, but it'll assist, okay? It gives gentle stress relief. Peppermint is a stimulant, while spearmint calms the nerves. So it depends on which peppermint you're going for, okay? And they have different purposes. They're very good for oral health if you chew the leaves because it's a natural antibacterial. Now, for culinary uses, mint, that's wonderful for beverages. There's the old mint julep, and I remember when I was young, I sneaked a taste of my mother's grasshopper, which had mint in it. And I'm like, this isn't a drink. Savory dishes, I love tabbouleh. Tabbouleh has lots of mint in it. Also different chutneys. It's wonderful on lamb, fish, or fowl. In salads, it's good with fruit, such as watermelon, feta cheese, and cucumber. Yummers. Sauces and pestos. You can make a mint pesto, just like substitute the mint for the basil, and it's just wonderful and so refreshing. Or sauces over meats, okay? Now, number 2 I have is chives. With the medicinal uses, there are sulfur compounds in chives called allium, and there's antioxidants which offer anti-inflammatory, digestive, and immune support. It's got very high vitamin K for bone density and very high vitamin C for immune systems, okay? As far as heart health goes, the allicin and the quercetin lowers blood pressure, increases circulation, and lowers the risk of heart disease. I got so busy taking notes for all of the medicinal purposes of these different herbs that I didn't write down anything culinary for chives. But, come on, anything that you can use onions for, baked potatoes, they're just wonderful. Oh, and chive blossoms, when you put them in white vinegar and let it steep for a long time to infuse the vinegar, turns it a beautiful pink, and it's just so fragrant and so wonderful. So there's definitely plenty of culinary uses for chives, okay? Okay. Had to pull the hair back. Too hot. Alrighty. On to number 3, oregano. Now, this is specifically Greek oregano. There's also Mexican oregano and other types, but the research I did was on Greek oregano specifically. So, medicinally, it's wonderful as an herbal tea, or to crush some leaves and put it inside a pot of water that was boiling, and then you put the towel over your head and you breathe it in for coughs, asthma, or nasal congestion. Yeah, just like you used to do Vicks when you were a kid, in the hot water and with the towel over your head. Okay. For tummy problems, oregano tea with honey is a traditional remedy for an upset stomach, bloating, and indigestion. These are my notes. I have pages of them. That's what I keep looking at. It's also antimicrobial, fights bacteria and fungi due to, now this I'm not sure if I'm going to say it right. It's spelled Carvacrol, carvacrol, and thymol. Those two things are antibacterial and antifungals, okay? So this would be good for if you had a tincture of it or a tea of it or something, if you had like, GIs that are in the jungle and stuff and their feet are constantly wet, and they get the crud on their feet, a tea of this, a wash of it would help to kill that bacteria or fungus. And for cooking, we all know oregano for cooking. Italian dishes, Greek dishes, Mexican dishes. It's also wonderful for marinades and infusions. There is a fly. Do you see me fly my forehead? Well, hi. I haven't had a fly in the house in months. Gotta be while I'm filming, right? Yeah. Real life. Okay. So, marinades and infusions. And, oregano is just perfect with olive oil. Just pairs beautifully with it. So that's a very, very popular herb. And it companion plants with things really well because oregano has kind of a creepy ground cover nature. Okay. Dog barking in the background. Number 4 is thyme. Medicinally, it's about the same as oregano because it includes the thymol and carvacrol like the oregano does. So coughs, bronchitis, sore throat, it's a natural expectorant. Gargle for gum problems because of the antimicrobial properties, and it'll help with gum disease or any infections and stuff like that in your mouth. You can also apply to the skin for skin fungi or fungi, I'm not sure. But like if, I was saying before with the oregano, if you get like athlete's foot or something like that, a tea or a infusion of that would help that tremendously. And it's also known to give digestive relief. Now, cooking. That's my page, just on cooking with thyme. Okay. It's an earthy, minty, and has floral notes in it. It's used globally for seasoning. Savory proteins, veggies, and specifically slow-cooked liquids. It's a very slow-releasing herb, so it's really good for soups and stews. It is awesome with root veggies like carrots and potatoes. It's used in the French bouquet garni and herbe de Provence. And as the Middle Eastern za'atar, fresh or dried thyme is folded into biscuits, focaccia bread, or whipped into a compound butter for garlic bread. Dried is stronger flavored than the fresh is. Okay, so if it calls for 1 teaspoon of dry thyme and all you have is fresh, for 1 teaspoon of dry, you use 1 tablespoon of fresh. And since it's slow to release the oils, make sure you add early in your recipe. Alrighty. Number 5 is lemon balm. Now, lemon balm also repels mosquitoes, so that is something that we are definitely working on. But it has many other uses as well. Medicinally, this I found very interesting because one of the times that I went to the university, I got a lesser degree in psychology, biological psychology. I wanted to know how the brain functioned. I could never be a therapist. I empathize with people way too much. But using lemon balm as a tea or a supplement increases the neurotransmitter GABA, G-A-B-A. So that was neat. Now, it is a mild sedative as a tea or as a supplement. And if you use it with valerian root or chamomile, it's wonderful for sleep support. The tea eases stomach cramps and bloating. Also cold sores. As a strong infusion or a poultice, the tannins and polyphenols have antiviral properties. So it will help get rid of that. Now for cooking. It is so versatile. It's got a very bright herbal, it's got the kind of lemony, mild citrus flavor. It's in the mint family. So container, grow, caveat there. Use like mint or like lemon zest in marinades, seafood and poultry dishes, in summer for refreshing beverages, and to use in sweet baked goods. Add the torn leaves to water just to freshen up your water a bit and make it a bit different. Lost my place. Torn leaves to water, lemonade, and iced tea. It's calming in a hot tea, too. It makes a wonderful syrup. Chop leaves to scatter on fruit salad or include in sugar cookies or pound cake. That would be delightful, huh? Used to stuff poultry or seafood. You can make a bright pesto from it. Use it, like you would basil to make a pesto, and all the other ingredients are the same quantities and everything, but that's wonderful. Included in olive oil vinaigrettes or chiffonade up in a salad. And another good use for it is to make compound butters. I love making compound butters. They're wonderful. So, that's lemon balm. That was number 5.
Number 1, the larch. The larch. The larch.
Okay, number 6 is lovage. Medicinal uses include chewing the seeds or tea from the root or leaves, relieves gas and bloating. A root decoction, decoctions are a diuretic to flush the urinary tract and increase kidney health. A tea soothes sore throats, and a poultice reduces skin inflammation and eases aching joints. So for cooking, it's excellent for poultry stews and fish chowders. Fresh leaves are great with new potatoes in potato salad or sautéed spring veggies. Infused to flavor vinegars. They call it the Maggi herb, that flavor additive people put in foods called Maggi, M-A-G-G-I, due to the rich, salty, and savory aroma. The seeds are very much like celery seed and can be used similarly. Good in brines. So if you're making a pickle brine or something and you have lovage, that you can use seeds for that like you would celery seed. Bread and salad dressings. And this is a little side. I found that the hollow stems are used as a straw when people make Bloody Marys. Alrighty. Number 7 is fennel. Fennel, every part of this plant is used all around the world. The bulb is used as a vegetable. The leaves, called fronds, are used as an herb, and the seeds are a powerful spice and traditional remedy for stomach and lung problems. Tasting like licorice or anise, it is a very distinct flavor. Medicinally, chewing the seeds or a tea is used for gas or stomach cramps. Essential oils like finchol or finchole, I'm not sure, have antibacterial and expectorant properties to ease coughs and clear phlegm during a cold or flu. Fennel is used to stimulate milk in nursing mothers and helps to alleviate menstrual discomfort. Fennel water can help a colicky baby, but ask your doctor. I am not giving medical advice. I'm just telling you what the journals say about it, okay? Now for cooking, the fresh bulbs can be sliced thin. They are awesome in salads or roasted with butter and herbs, or as a crunchy celery substitute in soups and stews. It's very good with fish, pork, and poultry. The seeds are a staple in Italian sausage, curries, and pickles. Ground seeds are a big part of the Chinese 5-spice. The fronds are used fresh, like dill or parsley, to garnish plates for a palate cleanser, like the piece of parsley is, or to flavor fish dishes or in salads. So fennel being another perennial, and I'm glad it will grow in my area because I like the flavor of licorice. So for me, this one is definitely a winner. We're getting there. Almost done. We only have 8 and 9 left, okay? 8 is yarrow. Yarrow is a nutrient-rich herb that has been used for centuries, a potent first aid remedy used to stop bleeding, reduce fevers, and soothe digestion. Known as yerba militaris, military herb, It promotes clotting and stopping bleeding for cuts, nosebleeds, and helps prevent infection. As a hot tea, it acts as a diaphoretic, causing sweating to help break fevers. Its expectorant properties help clear congestion with cold or flu. As a bitter, it stimulates production of stomach bile, easing bloat, flatulence, and cramps. It also eases pain with analgesic and anti-inflammatory compounds used as a poultice for aches, bruises, or even toothache. To cook, it's used in soups and broths like parsley. To season meat and fish as a rosemary substitute. Both the flowers and leaves can be steeped in hot water for an aromatic tea. It also has been used as field hops to bitter and flavor beers and ales. Do not combine with blood thinners, since it is a clotting agent, and do not use if pregnant. Okay, and finally we have number 9. It's one of my favorites, horseradish. I love horseradish. The root has isothiocyanates and sinigrin, which releases volatile oils when grated. Breathing this can open your nasal passages, loosen mucus, and help with a cold, flu, or bronchitis. It has antimicrobial properties and was used as a poultice to soothe joint pain and heal wounds. It is also a digestive stimulant. In cooking, when you blend with sour cream, creme fraiche, or mayonnaise, it is used on roast beef, smoked salmon, and roasted vegetables. When grated and mixed with salt and vinegar, the enzymatic process is halted and its kick is stabilized. When you mix it with ketchup and lemon juice, you get a lovely cocktail sauce for seafood. In ferments, it is frequently added to kimchi, beet kvass, or pickling brines for its zesty flavor and as a natural preservative. So there are the 9 perennial herbs that I would recommend putting in your garden. And I think that this is pretty much going to end part 1 of the planning your property as a system, and it's undoubtedly long enough. So I want to thank you very much for being here, and we'll get on to part 2 as soon as I can. And thanks so much for coming back if you're returning, and thanks for joining my family if you're new. So please drop a comment, share this with somebody if you think they could learn something from it, and I can't wait until I see you again. Have a lovely day. Toodles.